Sziasztok, kellemes péntek estét mindenkinek! Ismét itt a hóvégi esész stream ideje. Vagyis itt a streamfordítós ideje is, és ezúttal úgy tudom, hogy a World eventek rendszeréről lesz szó. Aztán majd meglátjuk, hogy ez mit akar pontosan. Az előbb megszakadt a streamjük, szóval itt volt egy kis de aztán visszahozták, szóval nem gond. Egyelőre nincs gond. Ugye rengeteg ilyen World event lesz a játékban, mindenféle különleges bosszok, meg monster támadások, meg mindenféle hasonló, és ezeknek egy külön rendszert csináltak nyilván, vagy csinálnak. Most elvileg erről fognak beszélni, aztán meglátjuk, hogy konkrétan miről lesz szó. Egészen pontosan cirka fél perc múlva. Pontosan kezdenek, vagy nem? És hát jó, még percen belül vagyunk. Igen, ugye elmaradt a skines stream, de be fogjuk pótolni, úgyis januárig élnek él a mostani csomag elvileg. Szóval nem lesz gond. Szia, Totyika! Hello, hello! De nem kezdenek pontosan, szóval. Reméljük, hogy nem lesz csúszás. Jézus, Totyika, hogy vagy? No. Nem vedősen? Ó, az nem jó. Az nem jó. Na, mégiscsak elkezdik. Pillanatnyilag belőjük a hangot majd.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Ashes of Creation September update.
Így hallani engem is, meg őket is.
You all are excited. I'm cozy.
Szeptemberi
I've got
update.
my like
I know.
autumn sweater on. Tis the
Na,
season.
berendeztem magam mögött a szobát már.
Yes. Autumn. It's my favorite season. I love it so much. But of course, we have a wonderful
Akkor lesznek emlékeztetők, event update, studio update, art update, meg a kérdések. Nem tudom, hogy videót mutatnak-e, vagy mi lesz.
Internally, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that on the studio update as well. But of course, today's itinerary agenda is we have our reminders. We have an event update, and if you've been following us on social, we've been letting folks know that it's going to be a wave-based combat, so get excited for a little bit of combat action. I know folks are excited for that.
Tehát ilyen hullám alapú az eventrendszer, tehát így hullámokban jönnek az ellenfelek, gondolom én.
Like a mofo. And then we've got our studio update, art update, and Q&A as per usual. So jam-packed, but hopefully today won't be as long, so just
Ugye
hopefully
remélhetőleg
have
most nem lesz olyan
good
hosszú,
amount of
mint múltkor
snacks,
volt.
some water.
Az extra
You
hosszú
don't need to
volt.
buckle
De jó
in
volt
this
egyébként ez
time.
a
We'll be
az is
a
update.
little shorter than normal. But of course,
Legutóbbi.
first we have some quick updates and reminders. The first one here is that we do have a
Kiemelt
comment.
YouTube-os komment.
So today's comment
Ugye
spotlight from
nagyon
our
jó az
YouTube
ötlet, ami a
video from our
nódok mögött van,
development
de
update is the idea behind all
vajon
these nodes are awesome.
hogyan
But I
fog ez az
wonder
élő
how it will actually
verzióban
play out in
működni?
the live version.
Problémája az,
The problem
hogy
is having
a
player
játékosok
run, or the
irányítják a
problem with
városokat,
having
akkor az
player run
emberek jönnek
towns
és mennek
is
a
that people
játékokban.
come and go in video
Szóval mi
games.
lesz, hogyha
So will
kihalnak a
towns die out,
városok?
etc. And this is from name is
Ez
to.
még
So
jogos
thank you,
kérdés.
name is, for subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving a wonderful comment.
Yeah,
Ez
this
mondjuk
is a
jogos
good
kérdés.
question, and
Mondja
fundamentally,
is, hogy jó
Get it
kérdés.
a lot too.
Meg sokan is
absolutely,
kérdezik,
we do,
megint
and
köhög.
it is
Jön a
something that's at the
tévköhög.
forefront of how we, design systems that are intended to provide player interaction and player agency and player direction, right? One of the I wouldn't say downsides, but risks of those types of mechanics and systems.
Ugye
Is
mondja
that
is,
you
hogy
do have the
mivel ugye
potential
a
for
csomó
either
rendszer a
bad faith
játékosokra
actors,
alapul, van ebben egy rizikó is, hogyha nem játszanak, akkor nem lesz.
excuse me, or just people who come and go, as you said. And so, we
Jól látom, hogy őszül a
incorporate as
szakálla,
part of
úristen.
those designs
Teljesen
certain
megöregszik, mire
fail-safes,
kijön ez a
certain
játék.
protections, certain automated progression that takes over when some of those decisions are lacking or are not made, and those decisions can be defaulted.
Ez mondjuk
Now,
érdekes.
of course,
Azt mondja, hogy ha
that
nincs
would
elég
have a deleterious
játékos
effect on kind of the
interakció,
direction that a particular node might
bizonyos
want to go,
döntéseket nem
because
hoznak meg,
they're
akkor
going to be
lesznek
doing
ilyen
default
automatikus
behaviors or
rendszerek,
default actions
akik
as
ilyen
opposed to something that
alapbeállításokat
might be in line
csinálnak,
with the
tehát
strategic objective of that particular node or the
akkor is
specialization
lesz
that the node
valami,
has
csak
previously
nem
been attempting to
feltétlenül
do. But that is why
az,
we
amit a
have a
játékosok
regularly
akarnak.
recurring election period where players can take the reins of power and can elect someone else to come in and participate and
Ez ugye például, hogyha valami
right
jó
the ship, so to speak. So it is absolutely a
vagy rossz
component of
polgármester van, vagy
having
ilyesmi.
player-driven mechanics that there is an opportunity for things to be less
Tehát
than
van egy ilyen
ideal or less
backup
than
rendszer,
strategic when certain bad faith
gyakorlatilag,
actors or people leave, but there are safeguards in place.
hogy ezt elkerüljék.
Perfect.
Ja.
Hopefully that suffices
Ez volt a
for your
válasz.
name is too. I'm sure you'll let us know what your thoughts are on it. And of course, if you do have thoughts on any of these things, you can head on over to forums. We are very diligent about taking player feedback. The next thing, speaking of player feedback, segue.
A dev discussionnek a
We have
témája
some dev
az álomnódok.
The one that is currently out, we have our dream nodes. So if you have some thoughts on what you would like your dream node to be, head on over and toss us your feedback.
Milyen lenne az a
Then
nód,
coming,
amit
we
te
also will
leginkább
have a dev
szeretnél?
discussion about basic
Meg van
attacks
még
as
egy,
well.
és hát
So
lesz a következő
definitely
az
we would love to hear your
alaptámadásokról,
thoughts. And this is
aki ilyen
a
combat
combination of
fókuszú
basic
az.
attacks and auto attacks as well, because I think in different games people consider these different things.
Mindenképpen kövesse szerintem ezt majd. Ugye itt az alaptámadásokról, meg az autoatakról is szó lesz.
You want to kind of stream them in between your abilities, or if you're not interested in that at all. So there will be a lot of questions for you to answer there.
Lesz egy csomó kérdés, amiről lehet válaszolni, hogy szereted az autoatakot, vagy nem zavar, hogyha nem történik semmi, míg nem támad szépen, vagy nem nyomsz gombokat.
And I have echoed this over the course of many years and in these these development updates, but the reason why it's so beneficial for us to partake in a transparent development process is because it affords us the opportunity to collect that real-time feedback and experiences and direction to a degree
Most megint megismétli, hogy azért szereti ezt a transzparens fejlesztést, mert hogy így közben kapnak visszajelzést arról, hogy milyen preferált dolgok lennének, és így várja azokat a dolgokat, amiket máshol láttál és tetszett, a különböző dolgokat, amiket kedvelnek a játékosok, vagy nem, akkor így figyelembe tudják adott esetben venni, hogy mik a játékosok által preferált dolgok.
I love that Stephen affords us that. Not every team gets, two community managers to be able to help with that.
És így ez nekik is fontos visszajelzés. Csaj mondja is, hogy ugye elég ritkán vannak, hogy ilyen kapcsolaton a potenciális felhasználók meg a fejlesztők között, ilyen időszakban.
Put a caveat on that as well, because I know there's the counteract of that.
De ugye nyilván ennek van hárnyoldala is, nyilván. Meg nyilván nem fognak mindent megcsinálni, amit a játékosok akarnak, vagy egy-két játékos akar. De mindenképpen jó visszajelzés, meg viszonyítási alap.
So just keeping that in mind.
Yeah, just to touch on that
Legtöbb
point real
esetben
quick,
egy
the elegance
lapon voltak
of
ők is.
filtering out the expression
Visszajelzések
from
is.
our player base who don't have, of course, in many cases, the experience of developing a product like this, but have the experience of playing them and know what they like and dislike. That is where the community team comes in and helps to filter out, kind of that feedback, so that not only is it digestible, but that it's cohesive and can make sense from a development perspective.
Yeah, it's very well done. So thank you. Keep giving us your feedback. I think a lot of the times when you're a player of a game, you're like, why did they make this decision? Well, we're sharing the journey with you. We're telling you why we're making those decisions, and we're showing you each little bit as we move forward. So be a part of it if it's something that you really want. And if you don't,
Továbbra is
step
várják a
away. It's
visszajelzéseket
okay. You don't have
mindenkitől,
to
aki szeretne
either.
adni.
Make a decision that's best for you. Next up, of course, is what are you giggling about?
I'm sorry. I just saw someone in chat put in a picture of me that ages over time into gray.
You haven't seen
Néha
it?
valaki berakott egy képet róla, hogy
I've been
öregszik.
using it on Discord too.
Egyébként tényleg ott őszül a szakálla, szóval.
There's a lot of Steven
Talán szerintem a haja is.
out there. So some of them
Ja,
are pretty intricate
határozottan.
videos too, Steven. So
Oh my God.
he's like, I don't want to know. Next up, this is just a reminder, of course, that the Unseen Order Cosmetics.
Na, ez az utolsó csomag, ami van.
We have an FAQ.
ALFA 2-es csomag. Hát, nekem nem a kedvencem, és akkor még finoman fogalmaztam, de majd kibeszéljük valamikor.
This is the last pre-order pack set, and it is going to end on January 17th,
sokáig
2024
fent lesz, mert januárban fogják kivenni, szóval addig még bőven lehet döntögetni, hogy szeretnétek ALFA 2 hozzáférést, vagy nem, viszont ugye ez nem fog változni addig, tehát skinek közül már csak ez áll lehetőségre ilyen téren. De ez nem jelenti azt, hogy nem lesznek később különböző kozmetikai cuccok.
Take a look at the FAQ section of that. I went through the FAQ and provided as intricate as detailed answers as I could regarding the potential for future pack sales. Obviously, that's predicated on our internal and external testing periods that we will be incorporating over the course of the coming time. It's important to note, the intent of these packages is not to elicit a fear of missing out response by our community. That is why this last pack will be extended to
nem az a céljuk, hogy ilyen úristen kimaradok belőle érzésed legyen, ezért húzták ki ilyen sok, vagy hosszú időre a végét. Viszont ugye nem lesz új skin. Ugye az ALFA 2 NDA-mentes lesz, tehát akkor is lehet nézni, például nálam, akinek nincsen hozzáférése. Ugye nyilván ez nem egy szórakozás lesz, nem egy tesztelős dolog. Le fogják zárni olykor, törölni fogják a dolgokat, megváltoztatni, patchelni mindenféle. Nyilván jó lesz, csak tehát ez nem egy játékélményt adó valami lesz.
Our network architectures
is intended to
prepare the game for an official launch, right? So, or prepares for betas.
In our core systems.
In our core systems. And to that end, do not feel like if you are not participating in Alpha 2 that you're missing out.
Igazából, aki nem vesz részt az ALFA 2-ben,
az nem vagy ki semmit. The play experience you will have when the game launches. And so that's something
that's very journey that we've had so far, right? See where the game was before and where it's at now. Or if you saw the Alpha 1 footage, which is, you can Google that because that was also non-NDA'd. you can see how far we've come from that too.
Absolutely.
Meg ugye össze lehet
There's
hasonlítani az
definitely
ALFA 1-es
going to
videókkal.
be a journey here.
Azt, hogy most hol tartanak, mert
And
ég
you
és
can
föld a
be part of
kettő.
that, whether you're in game or being able to watch and tell someone else what you want them to do.
For sure. For sure.
Maybe we can get the programmers to do a chat character where like you in chat try to make the character do things would be fun. Maybe not for Alpha 2, but that could be a cool experience. But yeah, just wanted to remind people that there is an FAQ. Make sure you check that out, that this will be the last pack set for
Lesz
now.
van egy kérdéses rész, és ott a skines cikkben, de majd mondom, azt is
Thinking about
megnézzük.
how we want to move forward with other
Az egészet meg
potential
fogjuk
shop
nézni.
stuff as well. I know
Yes.
exclusivity has been a problem that people are concerned about, and I think in future shop items we will kind of remove some of that element so we can rotate in things. So if you missed it, there will be an opportunity for you to get it again later rather than right now where everything's very much exclusive, but that's kind of how we've had stuff set up. And with that,
Na,
I
és
think
most
we
jön az
are
eventelni.
on to our events update if you're ready for it.
Yes, I'm
Videó lesz,
ready
nagyon
for
biztos.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I didn't do a lot of prefacing
Most
this
videó
time
lesz.
in the video. To my dismay, after the
Ja, most
recording
nem
was
csinált
completed,
belőle
because
sok
now, of course, that's a standalone on
előkészítést
YouTube, and some people may not hear that this is a work in
a
progress.
videóban.
But hopefully, I've said it enough prior to that it just carries forward.
I don't know, we
But
try, man.
regardless, I know. But regardless, I do want to preface now that what you guys are about to see is a bit different than what you saw with our story arc system.
Kicsit
And
más,
it
hogy
is
fog működni
different
a
from
videó,
our commissions system.
mint ahogy a
This is
stories
our event
videóban volt
system.
például.
And to be clear, what you're going to see is an example of the event system
Egy
that
példát mutatnak
showcases
az
types of
eventrendszerből,
content that can be popped
ami
up
bemutat
in the world
olyan
around
dolgokat,
you
amik
based on
feltűnhetnek a
predicates
világban,
of what's happening in the world.
az alapján, hogy mi
This
történik a
particular
világban.
event that you're going to see a pop-up of is with regards to a destructed caravan that's having some
Például
wave
lesz egy,
assault by some bandits.
egy karaván, amit megtámadnak.
Excuse me. And the reason for that
Ajaj,
event kicking off
köhög.
is because in the background there might be negotiations, there might be advancement in relationship status between nodes that
És
cause
ennek lehet köze
the
nódok közti
thematic
kapcsolatokhoz,
element
meg
of this pop-up
különböző
event
diplomáciai
being
dolgokhoz
a
is.
automated caravan moving throughout the world or whatever that hit the snag of the bandit encounter, and players in the area around it have
És
an
a
opportunity to
játékosok a
participate.
környéken
Now, there's a lot
lehetőséget
of
kapnak arra,
different
hogy részt
predicate
vegyenek
systems
itt a
that are
dolgokban.
involved in the event system, and they correlate in some way, shape, or form to some other types of world states that are happening within
És ugye
Verrán
az
at
egésznek
the time.
köze
And
lehet
that
más
give
dolgokhoz
players
is,
an
amik
opportunity
éppen
to interact
történnek
with those
a
events
világban.
and receive rewards and receive experience and receive gold and receive
És nyilván, aki
some
részt vesz,
loot
az
tables
kap
off of that.
mindenféle
And these
lootot,
pop up
kaphat
kind of around
pénzt,
the world,
XP-t.
right? So you're going to be seeing an example of that
És ugye
here
igazából mászkálsz a világban, és az
in
ilyenek csak így
the upcoming
felpoppolhatnak.
Alpha 2. And this is a video
Például,
that
hogyha a
Clayton
különböző
and
dolgok
Scott and
együtt állnak.
Jaime and a lot of others have obviously helped to stand up the event system so that it is a very versatile way to
De
deliver
elég
content to
változatos
players.
módot ad
as
arra,
a
hogy különböző
disclaimer, of
kontenteket
course, this is
rakjanak
all
a
a work
játékba.
in progress. This is still an alpha state.
Hát nyilván megint elmondja, hogy
The
ez
UI is
ugye
pending additional development,
folyamatban
as is
lévő
the
dolog,
visual
tehát nem
effects,
végleges
and some
semmi,
of the
a látvány
performance
sem,
indicators,
a rendszerek sem,
but
egyáltalán semmi.
this gives you an
Szokásos
idea
ezt
of what you
elmondja.
can expect coming in Alpha 2.
Ugyebár?
So
We do
enjoy.
have an article of
És majd az
other
Alpha
events
2-ben ez
too,
mind
so
tesztelve lesz.
if you want some more event action, you can check that out. We'll
Oh,
see
and
you.
real quick,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, one last thing. I know some people are constantly asking us about Alpha 2. We are going to
Az
have a
Alpha
little
2.
bit of an announcement here at the end of the stream.
A
Not
stream
too
végén
much
lesz
hype,
egy
just
kis
giving a little bit of direction with regards to
bejelentés az
expectations
Alpha
for
2-vel
Alpha
kapcsolatban.
2,
Nem túl nagy,
but we will
de
talk about that after the
majd
event.
beszélnek róla egy kicsit a
Alright.
videó
See
után,
you
és hát a
on the
végén, a
flip
stream
side.
végén. Na, meglepi. Nyilván nem fogják megmondani, hogy mikor lesz Alpha 2, de majd kíváncsiak vannak. No, nézzük ezeket az eventeket.
Hello everyone and welcome
Oh,
to another live stream.
ez is egy
from
ilyen
the glorious
csomagos
world
mount
of
volt.
Verrán, and we have an
Jól
exciting
néz ki.
showcase to give you all
Egész jobban néz ki, mint a
We're
modellje
going to
volt.
be talking
Na mindegy.
about our event
Az izé,
system.
agyarasló.
And I am actually joined by three of our absolutely wonderful
Négyen lesznek
developers
összesen.
with whom you've spoken
Ugye
with
Steven
in
meg
the
3
past on
fejlesztő.
some other live streams. we have one of our glorious engineers, Clayton.
Clayton,
how you
wow,
doing, buddy?
Absolutely wonderful, glorious. What an introduction. I'm doing great.
I know,
Really,
right?
really,
There's
Yes,
so
hello.
many,
really
so many
excited to
words.
show off all
Hát
of our
igen,
hard
az
work,
egy
so.
pozitív megerősítés lenne.
Very excited to see it with you and excited to chat
Szerintem
with you
az lesz, hogy
about it.
nagyjából
You
mikor
guys have
kezdik
a
el
lot of
esetleg a
hard work
spot
on this.
teszteket, vagy
We
ilyesmit
also
szerintem, de majd
have
meglátjuk.
two of our wonderful designers,
Meg két
Scott.
designer.
How you doing, buddy?
Így mennek majd négyen.
Yay! And Aimee, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Last time
Oh,
I was
that's
here, we
right,
took
that's
down 2 mocks, so I'm ready today. I'm playing cleric
know.
again, so yeah, I got your
Yes.
back.
Thank you. Okay, so you heard it here first, folks. If I die,
We know whose fault it
Ja, a
is.
csaj a
it's a-
healer.
oh, whoops. It is, of
Meghalnak,
course,
akkor a
not
csaj
my
majd
fault,
felszedi
it was
őket.
Greg's fault. No, but okay. So where are we? We are in a familiar biome.
Hát
Many
az
of you
Twitch
guys
megint
should be
szétdobja a
expecting where
képet,
we
majd
are.
meg kell
We are in
nézni
the
4K-ban.
wonderful Riverlands.
Borzasztóan nézés.
We are a little bit east of the last live
Ja,
stream
hát ezen nem
location,
lesz jobb a
which was
Twitchen
Winstead
sajnos.
node.
Yeah, I see Carfin in the distance.
Yep.
Ó,
Carfin is even further
Carfin
east
a
from Winstead,
tárnyék.
so we're kind of sandwiched
Winstead
between
környékén
Winstead and
vannak
Carfin
valahol.
right now. No big
Keletre,
trips happening right
elvileg.
now, so it's
Jól
nice
értettem,
day out.
jól hallottam.
Okay. So it's a nice day out. There's not like any type of blood curse or undead.
Ez itt nincsenek
No,
ilyen
not at the moment, no.
átokverte vidékek, meg
very cool.
hasonló.
And what are we doing?
Jól néz ki
here in the
már.
Riverlands? Talk to me a little bit about
De hát nyilván ez is
what
ugye a
has brought
Riverland.
us out here. And I'm gonna jump off my
Komolyan mondom, hogy
very steep
ebben a
hill.
játékban turistáskodásra egy csomó időt el
So,
fogok tölteni, hát hogy milyen jól
We're
néz már
actually
ki.
just out here to kill some mobs, grind some experience, get some
Hopp, bejött az
resources
új.
maybe out of the land here,
Yep.
and eventually the world should react to that, and we could potentially
Hát nem tudom, nekem
create an event
tetszenek a
here.
skill ikonok is.
I see a
Úgyhogy
a web weaver. So okay, so
egy
our objective
pókica.
right now
A
is
teraszt reméljük nem néz.
we're going to be showing off obviously the event system, and part of that event system is that it can take a whole host of
Ahogy
different
tök bírom, hogy
predicates to
közelítesz a pókokhoz,
kick off
elkezdnek
different types of
kepeszteni, hogy
events.
gyebeke,
Clayton,
gyebeke.
talk to me a little bit about
Hát csak behúzta.
what that
Oh,
means.
he's on me, he's on Yeah,
Ó, de
as soon
néz.
as I'm not dying. but-
Leköpte a
Yeah,
pók.
so the event system, it can query
18-as.
a lot of different aspects of the dynamic world state. Right now, it's actually just tracking player activity in the world.
Ugye most a rendszer úgy működik jelen pillanatban, ahol vannak, hogy figyeli, hogy mit csinálnak a játékosok a világban, és figyeli, hogy mit ölnek meg. És ha megölnek valamit, vagy valahány darab valamit, vagy akármi ilyesmi, akkor az betriggereli azt az eventet, ami be van rakva a rendszerbe.
Map for killing, yeah, the
Tehát gondolom, akkor most itt ott esetben pókokat kell ölni, és mit tudom, hogy jön egy nagy pók, vagy nem tudom, hogy meglátjuk.
Igen,
néz ki ez a pop-ups. Itt teleportál. Kicsit teleportál az a póknak. Milyen jó izéje van. Mozgása. Jó, akkor most pókokat ölnek, és ezt fogja triggerelni az eventet. Elvileg.
Different predicates for instantiating some of these events.
Yeah, so obviously we just got this kind of generic sort of kill one here that we can use for all sorts of different things for tracking player activity.
Vagy nem is biztos, hogy csak pókokat kell, akkor mert most
We also are looking at the amount of resources that players can harvest as a predicate. We
ugye az ilyen előfeltételek között lehet az, hogy mit ölünk meg és mennyit, akkor milyen erőforrásokat szedünk ki, vagy milyen erőforrásokat találunk, milyen karavánok vannak. Ugye általában a nódok állapota, tehát elég sokféle ilyen változó van, amit figyelembe vesz ez az eventrendszer. Ups! Elment mellette a golyónak. Szóval egy csomó mindent figyelembe vesz ez a rendszer, és hopp, triggerelte az eventet, és írta a new event nearby. Akkor most meg kell találni, hogy hol van az event. És ott a minimapen meg is jelent, hogy ott van lent, délre egy kicsit.
Yeah, and we might see some visual indicators over
És
the
akkor lesz
hill
valami
here in a
vizuális jelzés
second.
is.
And so when one of these events kick off, it's not just obviously notifying players based off of their proximity.
Ott az a
with,
füst.
The minimap and with
Gondolom az akar lenni a vizuális indikátor.
pops up, but also, as you said, Clayton, we have a visual indicator in world that's
Tehát nem csak kiírja,
the event as well.
hogy
Yeah, for
event,
sure. You know, Scott can probably touch
hanem
on,
látszik is valami nyoma, tehát ott van például a füst, ugye most jelen pillanatban.
the goals there.
Az jó, mert nem biztos, hogy mindenki látja, hogy írtál, hogy
Wait,
ott
hold
van
on,
a...
before we get too close, I'm
kiírás,
seeing
hogy
that
éppen
there's
ott van,
some
vagy
gray shore
AFK-zik, vagy ilyesmi.
archers and a gray
A katonák
shore
vannak ott.
swordsman.
És akkor kiírta, hogy mi a feladat.
Okay,
Tehát
alright.
meg kell
Should I
védeni a
join this event
karavánt.
defender team?
We should definitely,
Ennek a
yes.
banditák.
That'll allow if some other
Ez egy
players
automata
do
karaván, és
come
meg kell
around
védeni a
while we're
támadóktól.
playing, that'll allow
Ez az
them
eventnek az a része.
join the event raid group with us. So we've
Van
effectively taken
4
the party that we had pre-formed
settler, akit meg kell
and
védeni.
merged that
Meg kell ölni 20
into a
banditát.
new raid group.
Okay, I slept
Ebben
a
a
couple of
fázisban.
these of the highwayman captains.
There's some of them on the settlers right now. Oh god.
No, okay, and the
Ott
settlers
látszik
are an
oldalt, hogy mik
objective
a
type that exists within this
gólok.
particular event,
Archers.
right?
Yep, exactly.
Célok, amiket meg kell csinálni.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's a lot of
Yeah,
them.
no, they're sniping
Ah,
from
jó
on
sok
top of
bandita
the
van.
rocks.
Thanks, Amy.
What?
Én csak egyet öltök
I
meg,
see.
hoppá. Hát sokáig
Sorry, I'm
voltam.
gonna go for the long
Scott's
bowman.
down. Oh god.
Oh no, no, no.
Az egyik meghalt.
The event difficulty did change though.
Why did the event difficulty
That's a
change?
good thing. It means we got backup. There are people here to help us. And
Oh yeah, I see them up on the hill.
Where?
They're up on the hill. They're coming down.
Oh, they joined the raid. They joined the raid.
Okay,
What is this?
we're distracting the bandits from the settlers right now, so that's good. None of them have died.
It's-
Caravan
Oké,
integrity is
3.4
good.
bandita.
Okay, I see the caravan integrity on the.
Ja, ott látszik az is, hogy milyen állapotban van a karaván, de még jó.
It looks like they're mostly just going for the settlers right now.
Úgy látszik, hogy a banditák jelenleg csak a settlereket támadják. Mondjuk úgy ránézésre nem néz ki olyan jól a karaván, mint ahogy az indikátor mutatta. Ennyi szó.
Alright.
It's the
Why did you say
arsonist.
something?
Eléggé szép
I
romboltak
shouldn't have
látszik.
mentioned it. They would have been fine.
So
Alright,
the
our
objective here
Hopp,
is to
kettő settler már
protect these
meghalt.
settlers while we eliminate 20 of these highwaymen.
Ez sok. Vele már halott.
Okay.
Okay, but there's
Gondolom, hogy
probably
mindkét
another
gólnak
wave
teljesülnie
coming.
kell.
Yes.
There's still some gray shore people around.
Well, I see is some of them coming from northeast. There's an arsonist coming.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Oh, and some from downhill northwest too. Scott, why are they coming from the north?
So we're actually pretty near one of our POIs, which is actually under bandit
Ja,
control.
északról jönnek.
The
Hát ott van egy terület, amit a banditák irányítanak.
Just around the corner here. So they'll be attacking NPCs kind of in this area until such a time as players deal with it via
16.
a story arc.
18. Ami kettőt kell megölnék aztán.
And the settlers
This
were
isn't
trying to
Yeah,
keep
kill him.
these guys alive, right?
Okay.
All right, we did it.
Jó, és akkor most jön egy végső támadás.
To survive.
Okay.
Gondolom, akkor jön
So
a
it says prepare
boss,
for
vagy
the
ilyesmi.
final assault. So this is staged based off of our kind of our
Egy ilyen
progress, our activity, our
szakaszonként
success. What is
vannak a...
Yeah, so we
Dolgok.
defeated the requisite number of bandits there.
Ja, most ilyen felkészülési szakaszon, hogy jön a
stage here.
végső
And
támadás.
during this stage here,
Az
we
egy
can reset some
bomb.
of the traps that the bandits used
Csapdát raktak le a
to
banditák.
initially destroy the convoy.
Meg lehet
And we can
csinálni.
use those against the bandits
Vagy
in the next
javítani.
phase, which is actually
Vagy
more
felszedni, vagy
difficult.
bárhogy is
So,
hívják ezt.
Yeah, we'll definitely
Okay.
need them.
És akkor fel tudják használni
Whenever
a...
the
Izét, a...
bandits do come with reinforcements, they're probably going to be bringing their best. So
Fel is lehet
especially because we
használni
have
a
more players now. So the
saját
difficulty of the event will be
csapdáikat
more
ellenük.
when there are more players, and of course, like
Yeah,
all things
mix.
in Ashes, the more difficult the challenge, the better the rewards.
and
Very nice.
also, our clerics can have some time to heal up the settlers and
Itt van az a felkészítés,
hopefully
úgyis
set
ott
us
látszik
up for
alul az
success
alsó
whenever
indikátor az,
the
hogy
next round does come in.
mennyi idő van még a következő eset a végső
And how do
támadásig, és
how
akkor
do
így
we
lehet
leverage
healelni,
the
meg
reward
minden.
system? How are people, getting calculated what rewards they should get
So
for events like this?
A jutalmat meg az alapján kapott, hogy...
metrics that we can use.
Ja,
I
ott
think
van
we're
idő is.
going to be doing a lot of testing to figure out what the best metrics are, because there are some ups and downs using like the amount of damage you've done, in the raid and stuff like that. And we're also like more relaxed things like how much time you spent, participating in the event, whether that's doing damage or healing allies and things like that, as a percentage of the total time of the event. They all have their drawbacks and benefits. Some are, we got to be careful about.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll just count up the contribution. However,
Tudom,
we end up
boss lesz
balancing
a
that, and then we
végső
have different
támadásban.
tiers of rewards that are given to each individual player based off of their contribution score in the event.
As it works right now,
Jutalmat meg így egyénenként kapják a játékosok az alapján, hogy mennyire vettek részt a dologban.
Total time of the event.
Very nice. And so as that kind of as that winds down, people will be, you know, granted a gold, silver, bronze tier kind of reward status, and that will.
Ugye azok is ilyen tier rendszerben vannak, hogy arany szintű jutalom, ezüst, stb.
That's just going to determine the reward
Nyilván, ez
table
ismerős
that they're
lett
going to
más
get, and each player is
játékokban.
going to roll their own reward table.
De mindenkinek saját
independently.
jutalma lesz, függetlenül a
Hope I'm gonna get
többiektől.
rewarded for all the healing I'm doing.
Yeah.
Na.
I mean, you
Le
deserve it.
kell. Corvin the Crusher.
Yep,
Jön a boss.
our timer is up.
Azt kell
and
legyőzniük.
Corvin the Crusher appears to be on the way. Oh
Jön a
god,
Corvin.
he's coming. All right.
We're gonna need healing almost immediately.
Ja, hát várható volt, hogy valami boss fight lesz. Ó, és annak is,
There's a lot. I'm gonna
annak
try to
is
sleep some of them.
izé is. Bocsi, akinek
Oh,
feljött a
never
reklám.
mind. There's multiple balls of lightning.
Annak is adja is. Jó sokan vannak.
I'm gonna try and use the wraps as best I can.
Hűha. Nem látszik a mobba sok
Man, this
izétől.
is really great.
Oh, I am on fire.
We have them in a choke point right now. We definitely want to keep them away.
Nem kéne beleállni, és akkor
We want to
láthatsz.
keep them away from the caravan and in this choke point.
I got
Ja, hogy
the trap over here.
célszerű távol tartani, de ott van neki izé, ott a holló rárepült a karaván.
And the only objective here, as you can see from the tracker, is to kill Corvin.
És akkor ott van alul, hogy csatlakozhatsz védőként.
I'm trying to prioritize
Eventhez.
their healing and DPS
Egy
so
ilyen
that we can
gomb.
have a better chance here. I think with the raid group of 8, we seem to be set up for success here.
Ez madár nagyon
Corvin the
kitartó.
Crusher.
Hey,
He looks scary.
Amy, Scott, would either of you want to touch on the event difficulty tier and what we intend to do with that as more players join the event?
Ugye lehet játszani az event nehézségével, ahogy egyre több játékos csatlakozik, stb. Stb.
It just gets more difficult. I don't know if you saw, but we had a toast saying that the event has progressed from its original state as a group event to a raid level event. It was better in level, and of course it comes with more challenges, more optional objectives, but also more rewards. So it's never going
De
to
nyilván
be
a
like
nehezebb
a
szintű az
bother
több
to
kihívást
have
tartogat, meg,
other
meg
people
nehezebb
use.
nyilván.
It's all
Pont a jutalom is
part
több.
of part of being in a like multiplayer environment is, you know, the more friends join up with you, the better.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you touched on the rewards because the designers have the ability, just from a technical perspective, to use the difficulty tier however they like in the event. They can modify any aspect of the event's difficulty, or even the reward that you're getting. They can query that in the reward table data.
We're doing pretty good here. This caravan hasn't really been taking much damage at all.
Yeah, we were able to hold him off pretty well.
Yeah, the tank was able to intercept him at that choke point, so...
Yeah, the traps seem to be working too.
This
so
elite healer is rough.
Yeah, they should be very hard to kill.
A healert elég
Some of
nehezen
the
tudják
gray shore
megölni.
swordsmen and the archers are still alive.
We can change that. We have the technology. There we go.
Oh, we did it!
Down. We win.
Congratulations!
Na, sikerült
Is
neki.
there rewards?
Well, there's also a grateful settler here presenting us the reward. Maybe he has something to say.
Let me talk to him.
Ja, és akkor az egyik HLS settler adja majd a jutalmat.
Praise Ariok! They might have
És tényleg úgy
killed
is
us
hívják,
without
hogy
your
HLS settler.
intervention. Please, help yourself. I will help myself. Thank you. Thank you. What type of supplies are we talking about?
Oh, you're one of those heroes.
Unbelievable!
Ja, azért támadták meg őket a banditák, mert kevés az erőforrás, és vannak kétségbe esett emberek, akik inkább az erőszakhoz folyamodnak, és úgy szerzik meg, ami kell nekik. Fantasztikus.
I am a hero in this. I'm a mayor of a local
Oh
node.
my god.
A shame it
És
came to
jutalom.
violence. We are hopeful we could leave that behind on Sanctus. Okay, yeah, I'm hopeful of that too. But sometimes we can't just get what we hope for. So, whoa! we
Ó,
got
reward,
some wool.
chest van. Oda nézd, mennyi minden van benne. Ja, nem csak az, ez az inventory
We got
volt.
some wool. That's
You're also
cool.
granted,
Kapott
on the
gyapjút.
event's completion, you're granted like a little stipend of golden experience just right away. But
Ugye
items that
kapott
can be
azonnal
looted off your
XP-t
body,
meg
they have to
aranyat.
come from like a reward chest.
És akkor
So
ott
every
a
event
ládában
has
meg lehet
its own
akármi.
reward
Hát
cache
most
at the end of
gyapjú
it
volt
that
benne,
you'll grab your
úgyhogy...
materials and items from.
And I actually got
course-
some ashen timber as my
Wait,
reward.
why'd you get Ash and Timber?
Másik meg fát kapott.
I got that reward from my reward table.
A ládában.
Maybe I participated better than you, so I got a better resource.
How dare you? I was out there
De
doing a lot of
valószínűleg
work.
többet
And Scott,
csinált, és a fa az
NPC is
ugye
also
jobb,
configured to
jobb ebből a
actually
szempontból, mint
interface
akkor
with
a
some of the
gyapja
story
ezek
arc
szerint.
content too, right? If those story arcs were online,
It's true. Yeah, I think it is online actually. It should
it's just not active.
check
the
it.
story
Check it
arc.
again, Steven.
Oh, okay. Where am I going?
Talk to the guy again. I think you might have missed a dialogue option or it didn't pop
Oh,
up
here we
yet.
go. Okay.
The top one.
Who are these people?
Yeah.
Why were they who are these people? Let's see. They're desperate folks who
Ja, most rákérdezett, hogy
prowl
kik
the
voltak a
hills.
banditák,
Captain
és
Eudoxia,
ott van egy ilyen hint, hogy a Lionholdi Eudoxia kapitány utána akar nézni ezeknek a dolgoknak, és akkor ugye ez egy quest. Kapsz egy questet, vagyis hát egy ilyen story arc indulhat. Oda nézni a hosszú.
Yeah, they're
Egy jókos, hosszú kis questline lett. Ott meg a placeholder text. Lorem.
The events do hook into all of our story.
De így
our
kaphatsz
content, so
questeket
if
is,
there are story arcs
szóval
online, we
meg
can,
storyline-okat.
since our quests are non-linear,
Szóval
events
érdemes
can help you kind of into those
beszélgetni
quests.
velük.
If
Ezt
they're
megcsinálták
online, this may
szerintem.
happen whether
Még a
or not the
karaván az
story arc is
nem néz ki
online,
túl
but if
jó.
it is, you can pick up the like
Azt gondolom, lehet, hogy majd
lead
megcsinálják,
into
hogy
that
mit
quest
tudom
from
én,
him,
megjavul,
if
vagy
you're not, you know, if you haven't been
naprá,
alive in a while since the story arc
vagy
is
tényleg
started.
látszik rajta, hogy romlik, ha romlik.
Very cool. And so obviously, you know, people saw a little bit during this event that the adaptive difficulty was predicated on the number of participants that
Ugye itt
opt
van
in
az event nehézsége,
to
attól függött, hogy hányan vesznek részt benne.
partake in this event, right?
Correct. Yes. So as more players join, the event does get more difficult. We went from the regular
Ja,
mobs
most
to the
megint
elite
elmondja, hogy minél
mobs,
többet csatlakozunk, annál
in
nehezebb
Corbin's
lesz.
entourage. Some of them can be, you know, more enemies to fight. Some can have
ellenesség
completely
lesz,
different stages or
erősebben.
mechanics, depending
Lehetnek
on
különböző
what the
szakaszok,
event
meg
actually is
mechanikák.
and what your objectives are
Tehát
for
nem
that event.
egyszerűen csak az, hogy többen lesznek,
these
meg erősebbek,
events are based off
hanem
of
más
different
dolgokkal
predicates
is
within the world state. So for
szembesülhetünk.
example, this particular event was a caravan that was moving throughout the world, and as we said in the beginning, it was based off of the activity heat map of players within this area. But this type of event, this caravan event that was transiting
Most például ugye ez egy karaván event
popped up
volt.
Because nearby nodes may have either been
Ez,
advancing the relationship between each other, or there might have
Azért
been a
is
trade
feljöhetett
caravan
egyrészt,
that
mert
got
ugye
kicked off in the
küldtek ezt,
past,
azt, azt,
and we're
vagy azért is,
representing
mert
kind
a környező
that,
nódok éppen valamilyen
that theme
fázisban vannak
within the world
egymással.
by these event types, correct?
Yes,
Vagy
so
bármi
events
egyéb
are predicated by
harcot. Hát most
things that players
tartottak.
are doing, whether that is node development,
Jó,
node
ez az
trade
MMO.
agreements between nodes, all of that, like relationships between nodes. I mean, so it could be more than
Right.
just that. Could be war states or anything like that as well. So
So
Very cool. Love it.
I noticed that even though we succeeded in the event, we're still in our event raid group. Scott, what's the thought behind that? Are we
Ja,
supposed
még
to
bent
go and
vannak
adventure
a
with our
raid
new group right now?
csapatban.
If we so desire?
if we so desire, yeah, the event ending doesn't dissolve the open party for the event.
hogyha vége
The
lesz
open parties
a...
have some sort of default
A vége lesz az eventnek, az nem,
like
nem
party
töri szét
configurations
a
that can't be changed, so they'll be stuck
csapatot,
with a
ami
group loot and
összeállt.
stuff like that. But
Ez
we
ilyen
do try to
bárki
encourage people to
joinolhat
continue
csak,
to stick together and play together. The game is
hogy
hard,
mehetnek
so
tovább, ha akarnak
Oh,
együtt.
you
somebody
know,
just
it's good to
left.
play. Yeah, it's good to play with friends. Yeah.
I just left the raid. I don't want to play with you.
Oh my
Well,
god.
Ja, jók
Yeah,
ezek,
go and
igen.
join the bandits. I called
Ez
it.
jó
Yes,
dolog.
I'm looking for the highwayman to help bad.
Jó gyűjtés.
Very cool.
Ügyes
Okay, and then
voltál.
obviously we saw during the event, there are obviously multiple stages that exist, each of those stages having unique mechanics associated with them. There are a lot of different types of events, IME, that you and the narrative team and Scott that you guys are working on creating. Each of those event types will have different similar stages. Like we saw there was a trap stage here that we can set up.
Ugye ez
Is
csak
it
egyfajta
intended
event volt, de
that
hát
these
több,
stages are gonna
nyilván
provide
sokkal többet
players with kind
csinálnak.
of downtime
Mindegyiknek
to
lesznek különböző
recuperate and
fázisai.
also perhaps set up and strategize
Meg különböző
how they
dolgok
want
benne,
to
hogy lehetnek
address
csapdák,
the
hogy itt is
upcoming
voltak.
challenge.
Well, I don't really know.
Egy
about
igen
you,
múltat
but
sem volt, ó, te
my
szegény.
heart's beating right now. I feel like
Hát ez szörnyű.
we've been challenged, and of course there's going to be moments where there are less challenges which rely less on your class kit than usual.
Right.
But I think that in general, if you want to like really get down and understand the story and the appreciate the world, then,
Ez most
then
átváltott
probably,
másikra.
you're going to want to focus more in the story arcs where you can take things at your own pace.
We have
Very cool.
some events that do other things. Like there could be some that are just puzzles. We have an event
Lesznek
in here
rejtvények
that is
is
actually just like you
egyes
can attend a
eventekben.
funeral for just an NPC that can pop up.
Vagy például, hogy
and there isn't
vegyél
actually any combat to do in that
részt
one.
egy
The
NPC-nek a
rewards are
temetésén, vagy ilyesmi.
adequately scaled, but there are events in here that are just kind of for flavor and for fleshing out the world.
Tehát nem minden event lesz olyan harc
Yeah, I think
központú.
there are going to be some moments
Nem
where,
lesznek csak ilyen kis
you might be
érdekességek
like
is, vagy
frustrated
lore
that an
eventek
event
akár.
is like obscuring something that you want to get to, like
Ez tök jó.
a NPC that you need to talk to for your quest or something. So then gathering people to help you is going to be really useful.
Awesome, very cool. And that event there at the last stage had kind of like a little mini boss.
Milyen jól
dude.
néz már ki, még így
Is
a
that kind of
Twitch által
a
szétbarmolt
component of
verzióban
all
is, nem?
events that you guys are intending to
Komolyan
incorporate, or
imádom.
just kind of some events will have those mini bosses?
Some will have them.
Imádom, ahogy ez a játék
There's going
kinéz.
to be a whole lot of these, and they're going to be
X-Nix
at different tiers of
Ez jó.
challenge and
Ez jó.
you know, kind of, I guess, like
Szép volt szól.
power level tiers. You know, they're not all going to be, you know, defeating the, you know, end all dragon being at the end. Some are just,
Sure.
you know, about helping people. There's some are about just building up the world of Verrán, which is a very difficult and challenging place as people are trying to resettle it. There's all kinds of tiers for different levels of heroism. from helping
Ja,
small
rengeteg
town
lehetőség
people
van, hogy mindenféle módon
to downing giant
hőssé
foes.
váljál Verrán, mert
And
ugye
these are
újjáépítjük a
obviously a bit
civilizációt,
different than
szóval...
what people have seen previously with Carfin, where we showed off kind of the story arc system that fundamentally changes a particular location or area for an extended period of time that exists within stages that might be multi.
Ugye ez más, teljesen más, mint a karfinos terület, ahol ugye egy sztori szál működik, és...
Right. Definitely much shorter than a story arc, which
Igen,
as
ez
you mentioned before, is
sokkal
meant to be
rövidebb
taken
is.
kind of at a slower pace. Your individual
Meg gyorsabb is
path through the
sokkal.
story arc is a little bit more measured. Like you're less reliant on like the pace of the actual story arc. It's more about your own personal paces through the quests, and then as the story arc advances over time, like over the course of days, then you know, can dive back into it and get more involved in it again.
Sztori szálban ugye saját
Very
haladat.
cool. And
Ez
then
egy
if
pörög előre a
there are
sztori.
people who, you know, might be problematic to a particular event, like this Jindrak guy. Ooh, okay. I think it's triggering again. Like this Jindrak guy, we could like, you know, attack them or something, right?
Oh, sure. We could, yes. We could all just decide
If you
to.
were aligned with the bandits, maybe.
Ja, és hogyha valakinek nem tetszik az event, akkor meg is lehet őket támadni, mint például ezt a szerencsétlen.
You know, whenever Steven joined this
Devet, akit
event,
itt
he
kinézte.
had one option to just merge us into the event raid group. This was a PvE event, but
De egyébként
there
ez
are
egy
going to
PvE event
be
volt.
events with
Lesznek PvP
sanctioned
eventek is.
PvP, where there are multiple team options to
Jó.
join.
Ahol lehet választani, hogy melyik
Got it,
csapathoz
got it,
akarsz
got it.
csatlakozni például.
Okay, very cool. Well, I'll let Jindrak live this time. Guys, that was a super exciting event showcase. I know that the community loved to kind of see this stuff. Obviously, events are an integral component of making the world feel kind of dynamic and representative of what is happening around the area. It gives people insight into particular locations and the type of activities that might be occurring, but it also gives really interesting ways for us as players to interact with that environment and affect change as well, and be rewarded for that activity.
Lényeg
I
az,
think
hogy
it's
ugye
super cool. You
rengeteg
guys done a great
típusú
job
event
with
lesz.
standing up the event
Egyrészt
system
lehetőséget ad
and
nekik arra, hogy
populating the world
contentet
with really
rakjanak
compelling
a
activities.
játékban.
So thank
Azt
you
hiszem,
for
hogy ugye
showing
arra, hogy
us a little bit of
jutalmakat
the
meg
work you
mindent
guys have
szerezzünk,
been
hogy
doing
nyilván
towards Alpha
játszunk.
2. I know that the community loves it, and we'll be back on stream to
És
talk
akkor
a
ez
little
volt
bit more
a
about
videó, ez
this.
ilyen rövidke volt most.
All right, thanks,
Bye, guys.
thanks for having me,
Korábbiakhoz
Steven.
képest.
Thanks, Steven. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody. Whoops.
Welcome
Ez tök jó
back.
volt egyébként.
Why'd you say whoops?
Oh, my light went out.
Oh.
in the office, it went out right at the end there.
Oh no, hopefully the internet's gonna be okay. It's just the
Yes.
light. I will play the video in the background so y'all
cool.
can watch that. We do have some questions from chat
Yeah.
about some things. So one of the things was to kind of set expectations for parties. We did talk about how when you disband a party or when you end it, you know, we do encourage you to group up and
Sure.
stay together, but people are wondering if they have to like fully reform their parties or what the plan is in regards to that.
Yeah, so there is an option, as we said at the end, to kind of stick around in that raid and to go off and do some additional
Mondták, hogy
things
a
with
végén
each
ott
other.
együtt lehet
Obviously, we
maradni a
want to
raidban.
encourage players to kind of cooperate and work with one another. That is an MMO after all, and that is the name
Nyilván
of
ez
the
egy
game.
MMO, tehát
But at the same time, if people want to convert back into a party or if
ha
they want to
vissza
move from that
akartok
raid, they
lépni,
are more than welcome to do so.
nyilván vissza lehet
And
lépni a
then
saját
what happens if someone
partiba.
joins the event and then like goes MIA,
Jó, hogyha valaki
goes to
csatlakozik,
get a
aztán
coffee,
közben
goes
így
to the
lelép,
bathroom, leaves? Does that
What
still
eltűnik,
keep the difficulty?
az megtartja a nehézséget, vagy?
Yeah, so there is a way that we kind of heat map player activity during the event to help
Figyelik az
inform that
aktivitást,
difficulty. It's not just going to be based purely off of the number
tehát
of
nem nyilván
participants
nem
within
a
the area, within
nehézsége
the
nem
raid.
csak
That's
kizárólag
something that
a
is dynamic
játékosok
and
számán fog
scales
múlni.
accordingly. But the idea here is that, you know, we can't necessarily predict the number of players that are going to be participating in these types of events, of
De ugye
course,
nem tudják
because
előre
not
jelezni
only
azt,
is it
hogy
opt-in,
hányan
but it's
fognak
also
itt
kind of
részt venni.
situationally and locationally relevant to the player activity. Now, those events kicked off based off of local player activity. As you saw
A
here, we're
helyi
killing the bears, we're
aktivitás
killing the
alapján
spiders. That was one
jönnek
of the
ki az
predicates that kind
eventek.
of kicked this local event off. The event was then thematically relevant to kind of activities that were happening around the zone, and that was like
Tehát
relationship
ott a
between
zónában
nodes that was progressing. That
történő
caused this theming to
dolgokra
be about
reagál maga az event.
a caravan being assaulted by bandits for supplies. And so it kind of gives you a touch point to the rest of the world and what's happening there. But we want to scale that difficulty to a degree, right? And we're not talking about like scaling up the player's power or scaling down the power of the NPCs, but rather how many additional spawners start to activate? What different types of NPCs start to join? Are they going to be elites? Is there the boss, right? Those
Tehát nem
types
feltétlenül
of things are
az egyes mobok
scalable as part of the event
nehézségét
system.
akarják csökkenteni, növelni, hanem azt, hogy hányan
And
csatlakoznak
then,
mobok, meg mit
are
elitek-e,
you
vagy nem
able
elitek-e,
to heal the caravan
hogy miket tudnak
settlers and things
csinálni.
like that? I know that you were, but we want
Yeah.
to clarify like that you do need to protect them to some extent. Are there
Yeah.
implications for if you don't? Like if a bunch of people die that you're supposed to be guarding, will you get less reward? What's the...
For sure, there is the ability to fail. I
Nyilván
know
az
that that is
eventeket
a
el is lehet
strange
rontani, tehát
concept for a lot of
lehet
us
az, hogy nem tudod
nowadays playing more
nem tudjuk
modern games,
megcsinálni
but
a
there is absolutely
célokat.
a way to fail. And some of those ways include how you're going to expend resources, not just for your fellow players, but for some of the objectives that might be present within the event as well. And those resources, that mainly being your mana in this circumstance with regards to healing those NPCs, is, I think, a relevant and interesting component that makes it a little bit more dynamic.
Tehát például azt, arra is
And
figyelned kell,
then
hogy a
do the
célokra
events have
felhasználod az
cooldowns,
erőforrásait, mint
or
például a
could
monát,
players
mondjuk
force
híled
the
a
event to spawn
settlereket itt ebben az
endlessly?
esetben.
Events absolutely do have cooldowns. They cannot be forced to spawn repeatedly
Ja,
over
és
and
az
over
eventeken
again.
van CD,
Those
hát nem lehet azt
cooldowns
megcsinálni, hogy
are not
folyamatosan
just something that's
popolod
based on a
őket.
timer. They're also predicated on certain
Ugye
actions occurring
egyrészt
within the
különböző
world once more or at different times. And so,
cselekedetek is
again,
alapulnak,
the
másrészt
most
meg pedig
important
ugye
thing about the
időbeli
system
limit is van
is
rajtuk.
that when we're talking about, you know, being
Vagy
out in a
bennük, vagy
hunting
rajtuk.
grounds or being out, you know, transiting across the world, these events are constantly popping up around the zones, right? And they kind of follow player activity and movement. And there's
De
a
alapvetően
whole
az igaz rájuk,
host
hogy
of different types
ezek
of
az eventek
events from a
követik a
content
játékosok
standpoint
aktivitását,
that
tehát
reflect to the state of the world.
alapvetően reagálnak arra,
And
hogy
so
milyen
it's
állapotban
important
van
that,
a,
like, as
éppen
players
a
are
világ.
doing these things, these are additional levels of experience grants and
Tehát gyakorlatilag ezek ilyen
reward tables
plusz
that can be accessible
szintet
based
adnak
off of
ahhoz, hogy
cooperation with other players
XP-t,
in the
meg
area.
pénzt, meg dolgokat szerezzünk.
All right. And then the last one here is, what would have happened if the raid group failed the event? I know that you talked a little bit about this before, but would something have happened
Sure.
if we wouldn't have saved
Yeah,
everybody?
so events that get kicked off, if you would not have saved everybody, if this event would have failed, and actually it failed many times in testing, but if this event would have failed, it would have contributed to a world state tracker, right? And
Nem sikerült
events
volna az
kind
event,
of
akkor
can roll.
az hozzájárult volna egy
The
ilyen
event outcome can
világállapot
inform other events as
számlálóhoz.
predicates as well, right? And when you get enough events that are being failed,
És mondjuk elég sok event, megint
when you get
elég
enough
sok
events that are being
event
failed,
történik,
that can
ami
trigger
nem
a bigger
sikerül,
event.
abból akár egy nagyobb event is jöhet. És hogyha sok ilyen nagy event nem sikerül, akkor abból lehet akár egy storyline is. Tehát egy ilyen potenciálisan, exponenciálisan növekvő rendszer. Az egész. És mind arra alapul, hogy a rendszer reagál arra, hogy a játékosok viselkednek meg sikeresek.
A lot of times in different games you hear the buzzwords of like dynamic and responsive and reactive and whatever, but we are building the mechanics to inform those systems from a very scaling foundational perspective, which can culminate into big server changing things happening.
És akár még ilyen nagy szerver befolyásoló események is történhetnek.
Overarching system. You guys saw a little bit of the story arc system with Carfin and how it fundamentally changed the visuals of that.
Ugye Carfinnel lehetett látni, hogy hogyan változik meg az egész területnek a látványvilága.
Kicking off is how these smaller feeding events, what the outcome of those are. Right?
És egy ilyen nagyobb dolog elindul, akkor azon alapul, hogy milyen lesz, hogy az sok kis apróbb dolog, amiből összeáll, az, hogy elindul, az milyen eredménnyel zárul. Ja, egy kicsit olyan dominó hatású.
And it doesn't always have to be the same things that are always happening. This is why when we said that every server will kind of pretty much be very, very different from another server.
Így nyilván ez az egyik oka annak is, hogy minden szerver más lesz, mint a többi.
Because you'd have to take very specific actions at the same time to make those things line up that way. Of course, the video that we have will be up in 4K, so if you want to see that, you can head over to our YouTube channel after the stream. It will be.
I'm gonna stand up and move around so I can get my legs.
Yeah, because the motion lights. Someone
Megrántotta a
at the
lábát.
office, come wave around.
Vagy elzsibott a lába.
It will not pick me up even though I'm moving around.
That's funny. You don't move fast enough. You're like sloth mode.
I know.
And of course, we also have a forum of event update feedback thread as well. So if
lesz egy topik a fórumban is, szóval is lehet visszajelzéseket adni.
Able to like kind of move things around on the live stream or watch it either on Twitch or YouTube. You can feel free to toss your feedback our way. We of course will be compiling a report for development in order to ensure that they get all the information from what your thoughts are. So share those with us.
Yeah.
And with that, we shall move over to studio update.
Studio update.
Studio update. Yes. It's funny actually. I was watching in chat. Somebody said, "How can I become a developer for this?"
Aki kérdezte a chaton, hogy hogyan lehet fejlesztő játéknak.
That's a nice little segue. Studio update. Things are going great at the studio. We are continuing to grow. We are ending our milestone actually this week.
Megint valami mérföldkőhöz értek, ilyen belső mérföldkőhöz.
Next milestone right now.
The 29th today.
29th. Oh, it ends today. That's right.
Akkor ma.
And next week we are having about 20 of our remote employees are flying in for our milestone 7 preparation and kickoff in San Diego, and we're going to have some fun events with the team, doing some bowling nights and some full day reviews of our milestone and play testing. And it is an exciting time here at the studio, and I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about the state of our industry, and be respective of the fact that
most egy kicsit kitér arra, hogy a játékfejlesztés iparban azért vannak mostában gondok, sok embert elküldenek. Ez nyilván nem jó dolog. Elírta a Twitteren is, hogy együtt érezzek mindenkivel, akit elküldtek.
Experience to be a part of teams that create the magic that games are, because really they are magical. I mean, games are a very important part of our lives, right? It is important to have a work-life balance, and part of everyone out there who are in this audience that get to have downtime and
Hát ugye a
experience
játékok
games
fontos
with their
része az
friends and their
életünknek, és
families
fontos, hogy legyen
and kind of
ilyen
de-stress with
munka,
that. It takes a lot to
szórakozás,
make those
egyensúly,
things, and it takes a lot of effort and
és
dedication
rengeteg
and
munkába
commitment.
kerül egy játékot
And
megcsinálni.
when things outside of your control and outside of your power impact
És
your
hogyha
ability to do that, it's
ezt olyan
obviously
dolgok
a
befolyásolják,
moment of
amire
pause and
nincsen
reflection.
hatásod,
And Intrepid
akkor az nem jó
intends
nyilván.
and strives to be one of those places that takes
Ők olyan helyet szeretnének lenni, ahol
sustainable growth practices as
ahol a
part
növekedés
of
az fenntartható,
building up our company and our team in the efforts to deliver this product. Now, of course, MMOs are the biggest game you can make.
nyilván egy MMO a
Our
legnagyobb játék, amit lehet
MMORPG
csinálni.
is probably one of the more ambitious ones.
Ez meg egy
And
különösen
from the
ambiciózus
get-go, we
projekt.
knew, and you guys knew from a community perspective, that this was going to be a journey, and it continues to be that. But every time we onboard a new person to this company,
De mindig,
to
amikor
our
felvesznek egy új
team,
embert,
to our Intrepid family, and I know that's a hot button issue to even use that word sometimes in a work setting, but that is the type of feeling we try to achieve at Intrepid. Every time we onboard someone new, we do so with the conscious effort
azt úgy teszik meg, hogy
to know what the end goal is in our development journey, and to
tudják, hogy
treat
mire
that
akarnak
team member,
kiukadni,
that family member,
és hogy az új csapattag az
with the type of respect for their work and participation
tisztelik
in
az
this
új
project, right? And
csapattal
so
munkáját,
if
és
you know somebody that's been
azt, amit
impacted
tesz az egész
by
játékért.
these layoffs recently, if you guys are in the ecosphere of Twitter and or LinkedIn of these developers who are some of your favorite developers that have worked on projects in the past, and you've seen the product of their toils, then make sure to send them a message and let them know that we exist, that Ashes of Creation is a
lehet
project,
hirdetni
and
az
that we have a
elküldött
lot of positions that are open.
fejlesztőknek a
And if they don't
stúdiót,
see a position
ha
that's
esetleg
open, they
érdekli
can
őket,
go
akkor
to
jelentkezhetnek, hát ha
intrepidstudios.com to our careers page, and they can submit
ha van
their
nekik hely.
resume and their portfolio and experience, and we will spend the time and effort in order to evaluate their potential on the team. So that is something that I
Vagy
think is
lehetőség.
important, and it's a rough time out there right now for sure. And our hearts go out to the people that are impacted by some of these layoffs. But things are looking good here at Intrepid Studios, and we continue to move forward. And our next milestone is going to be a big one.
A következő
And
mérföldkő az
with
nagy
that
lesz,
being said,
de nyilván nem mondja meg, hogy mi az, mert
Well,
belső vétlet.
I
go
think
ahead. You're
that
good. Go for
I
it.
have some notes here too from our HR
Oh,
team,
yes.
which I'm
Most
not going to
akartam
share
mondani az
everything
ALFA-kettőt.
they gave me because some of that is like private information for us. But I think one of the cool things is I'm a data junkie as someone who does a lot of marketing stuff. We have an insanely great attrition rate comparatively to the industry. So, I mean, for us, we're at like 3.4%. People are going to come and go. They're going to have reasons why they want to.
Sure.
Maybe they're
Ja, nagyon
they get
alacsony
paid more in
a,
another company.
az
or
az, az
they want a
arányuk, ami,
different type
akik
of job,
kilépnek a
and we don't have
cégtől.
that available for them. Although we do accommodate quite
Nyilván vannak,
greatly
akik
for people.
kilépnek, de
Or they want
nagyon
to be
kevesen.
somewhere else.
4% though, that's not bad. What's
It's
the
not
Alacsonyabb,
bad.
mint
average?
4%.
The software
Vagy mi?
development, or the global average is 38.9%.
Az
Oh,
átlag az
the
38%.
Software development specifically is
8%.
57.3%. So
Különösen a
my
szoftverfejlesztésnél meg
we are
57%, nekik meg 4.
We do enjoy working here, and I know
Szóval
it is
az emberek
cliché
szeretnek ott
when
dolgozni,
it
úgy tűnik.
sounds cliché when you say family, but Stephen and John really treat us all like family. Like there is love and care there that I have not always had at
Ja, hát
other companies,
egészen
so
családias céget
thank you.
épített, szóval.
Well, absolutely. We
Meg
love
elvileg
you and
amerikai
love our team, and
szempontból különösen jó
it is
cuccokat ad a
something special that I
dolgozóinak,
think we
szóval
built here at this company,
mindenféle
and
fizetett
it definitely
szabadság,
feels
meg
like that.
életbiztosítás, úgy tudom.
I think it would be great
Na,
for us to
Na.
talk a little bit about a common discussion
Na,
point
most
that
beszél az ALFA
obviously you
2-ről.
and the community end.
So we're gonna do that before the
receive-
art.
Oh, before the art. Oh, okay. My bad. I'm sorry.
We can do
Where
it
was
now.
Oh.
We
that?
can do it if
We
you
can do it
want.
now. Okay.
Yeah, do it now.
All
Akkor most mégis nem várja meg az
We're
átot.
wild on you guys.
Na,
As you guys know, we have reserved our announcement for dates until we are certain that we can
ugye
hit them.
mondták,
We
hogy nem
we've
fognak
been
addig
burned in the
dátumokat
past with
bejelenteni,
that.
amíg
We
nincsenek
took
biztos
our lickings,
dátumok.
we
I'm
learned,
like,
and
no
we
more
are
dates,
moving-
Stephen, until
Correct.
it's
Yes,
happening.
and
Ugye
I've
az
been a good
ALFA 1-nél
boy.
volt
I've
egy
been
kis
a very
X-szer.
good boy with that.
Ugyebár.
Haven't said any dates. And what I would like to do is, as I see often in the community,
De gyakran
with
látja,
a
hogy
lot of different conversations with
Különböző
content creators.
beszélgetések
When is Alpha 2 going to be? Is it this
szólnak arról,
year?
hogy
Is
mikor
it
lesz az
next
Alpha
year?
2
Is it,
idén, vagy jövőre, vagy
2030, kind of
2030.
wild speculation that I think
mindenféle spekulációk
I have
vannak.
attempted to address by saying Alpha 2 is not years away, but it's
Próbálta
also
ezeket
not
így
right around the corner.
előni, hogy
And so
nem,
as we grow
nem
closer
holnap
to
lesz, de nem
Alpha
is évek
2,
múlva.
we will give a definitive date.
De
The
ahogy
next time you
közeledik,
hear from us about when Alpha 2 is going to be, it's probably going to be delegated to a particular quarter, and then when we're probably a few
amikor
months
legközelebb
away, we
beszélnek
will
az
have
Alpha
the date
2-ről,
in
akkor
mind. But
valószínűleg
for
meg lesz a
now,
negyed év.
I can definitively tell you that Alpha 2 is going to be.
De azt meg tudja mondani,
Cue the video.
2024, na? Az Alpha 2 az lesz 2024. Ben. Lol. Oké, köszi. Oké, jó, hát ezt eddig is tudtuk.
We're back.
Ez csoda szivatás.
Hey, that wasn't too bad. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Szóval azt tudni,
guys,
hogy jövőre
we
lesz az
can
Alpha
say that
2.
from now on, when people talk to you about when Alpha 2 is going to be, it is no longer a
Ah, tényleg.
question of if, but when. Next year, Alpha 2 will be rolled
De
out
az
for
legközelebb,
public
hogyha
testing.
beszélnek róla, akkor
We
már a
have
negyed
a
évet is
number of
megadják.
different testing events that are going to be
Utána meg már a dátumot
participating,
is.
over
Can I make
the
some
over.
clarifications for things?
absolutely.
It includes some of
Yes, you
that.
can.
So
Yes,
the
go for
exact
it.
date, as Stephen said, will be provided in a future, in the future. And of course, when we do provide that date, we will also give you guys further information in regards to testing schedule, what's
Nyilván,
included in
amikor
Alpha 2,
megmondják a
because I know
pontos
that that's
dátumot,
where
akkor
this
majd
is going to
mindenféle
go
info is
next.
lesz hozzá, hogy pontos amikor, meg milyen.
And also
lesz
the
nekünk minden.
NDA spot testing that will be before Alpha 2.
És az Alpha 2 előtt lesz ugye NDA-s
We'll have some with
spot
our
test
Alpha 1 users
szakasz.
and then our Alpha 2 users. And of course, Alpha 2 will not be NDA'd, but that spot testing
Az Alpha 2 nem
will
lesz
be
NDA.
NDA'd.
Yes,
So
correct.
De
keep
ezek a
that in
spot
mind.
tesztek igen.
And then
Yep,
note
and-
that Alpha 2 is only accessible for players who have Alpha 2 access. So just because you had Alpha 1 access
És
does
nyilván
not
az
mean that
Alpha
you will have Alpha 2
2
access. So
hozzáférések
make sure that you
azoknak
do
van,
have Alpha 2 access in
azoknak
your
lesz hozzáférhető,
inventory.
akiknek van
It'll
Alpha
say
2
Alpha 2
hozzáférésük,
if you
tehát
do.
hogyha létre az Alpha
you will
1-ben
be
valamiért,
able to
valahogyan,
partake in pre-tests
de nincs Alpha
because
2
that's
hozzáférésed,
technically
akkor
still
nem
Alpha 1.
automatikusan
Yes,
kerülsz be
absolutely.
az Alpha 2-be.
And guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about setting expectations right appropriately. Anytime you're delivering a software as big as even what Alpha 2 is, there's going to be bumps, there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be things
ugye
that we don't
nyilván
account for.
Minden
That's just the nature of the
munka
beast.
során vannak
Part of that
fennakadások,
is many communities
meg
don't have an
problémák.
opportunity to see those bumps and hiccups because projects keep things very
Sokszor
tight
ugye
to the
nem
chest.
láthatóak
We
ezek a
have
problémák,
since the get-go decided not to take that approach
és ugye
and
ők
instead take
azt az
the
utat választották, hogy már
good,
az
bad,
elejétől
and ugly
fogva
approach, which is
teljesen
you guys get to
transzparens.
see that stuff. And so as we're moving towards Alpha 2 in 2024, you can expect to see part of our development updates. We'll be showcasing, of course, continually these systems. Some of those
Ahogy
systems
közelik
will
majd
be
az
very
Alpha
big, some of
2,
those
hogy
systems will be smaller, but our
mutatnak
intent is to get
dolgokat,
feedback
kisebbeket,
on them and
nagyobbakat,
kind of get
továbbra is.
experiential feedback, especially so that we can help inform the revisions and the iterations that we do to them. That's why we do these development updates, right? It's not just Margaret and I love being here with you guys and being a part of this process, but we don't do it because we love it. We do it because it is an integral component of making a good product, right? And that
Nem
is
csak azért
our
csinálják, mert szeretik
philosophy.
csinálni, hanem azért is, mert fontos
So with that being
ezeket az
said,
update-eket.
I can hopefully now put to rest some of the question marks that arise out of the when is Alpha 2 going to be.
Remélhetőleg ugye ezzel valami néhány kérdést azért így
I know,
As
of
soon as
course. Now
elaltat, hogy nem
1st
2030-ban lesz,
goes,
hanem
so what
jövőre.
date is it?
we have moved the discussion out of the realm of years into the realm of months. Which month is it going to be?
Most az lesz a kérdés, hogy melyik hónapban.
So that is, I think, a positive outcome.
And like what
because-
Steven said, we
yeah.
will, our next update will give you what quarter, and then we will provide dates after that.
Igen,
So
a következő
keep that in mind.
alkalommal
There is
megmondják
gonna
majd, hogy
be
melyik
a-
negyed évben.
progression of that information.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Um,
What a time to be alive.
I know it has been a wild time in general for all of us. But yeah, did I miss anything else on the studio update? Yeah, I think we caught everything. So art stuff. Look at pretty
Art
art.
stuff. Let's do it.
Yeah,
No,
let's
art
do it. Let's look
update.
at art.
Oh, I just got a message from our web team that the website is currently getting hit hard. Oh no.
Great.
Ó,
Probably 'cause
calm
everyone's
és
down.
akkor
like,
megnézték
let's
Calm
buy a
down.
az
package.
oldalt hirtelen.
The packages
down.
are going to be available till
Ez nem volt olyan régen
January
ez a
17th.
csomag.
So,
Yes.
so it'll be okay.
I probably shouldn't have said that on the stream. Then it would just exacerbated the problem.
Or the career page, people might have been going to that too. So first and foremost, we've got the Deepwood syrinx, I think is what it's called. It's like an instrument of some sort,
Ez egy ilyen
which is really cool.
pánsípféleség.
And that now has
Ez a
its
lila-zöld
model.
parály
And
pokból
you
van,
may
ami
have
nekem annyira nem
seen
érdekel.
these little potion traps on the ground that were created.
Ja, ezek a
Um,
csapdák
I
voltak
love
a
seeing the work in
videóban.
progress images, so I always like sharing
Ezek
that
a
stuff with you
modellek.
guys. And so that's what
Yeah,
work in
Atkins
progress.
did this.
And this is what
Oh.
you saw in the game.
Nem, az kék
Very
volt, az,
cool.
a
And
videóban
then
kék
we've
volt. Szóval
got the
Üzes.
Notice, by the way,
Oh,
notice
Oh.
the
go
kind of
back.
styling of the magical fantasy, the kind of magical realism. Not so much too far on the steampunk side, not too much magic tech
Ja, a
side.
stílus érdekes, hogy nem,
Still keeping
Steven
nem
it
ilyen
doesn't
rooted
like his
within the
tekes,
high
nem
fantasy.
steampunkos, de ilyen
It's
kis
not that I don't like it. I
kevercs.
think that there's a lot of really cool, interesting kind of steampunk iteration that's done in these games. It's just I'm a high fantasy guy.
Yeah,
Just
we had some like designers who were trying to like plot out steampunk. I was like,
Január
no, that's not
17-ig.
Ashes of Creation. Move on.
Ez az egy csomag, az
But
utolsó,
next
ami
up
most
we've
van.
got the Legionnaire outfit,
Amit majd
which now
megnézzünk
has
valamikor,
model as
rá
well.
elmaradt.
I think it should rotate.
Looks
Január
great.
17-ig, addig még
I
rengeteg idő
believe I
van.
have a turntable for this as well.
Ó,
Very different type of armor. I know some people
érdekes.
weren't sure how they felt about this set, but
Ja,
the look
januári.
for it is really cool.
De mondom, hogy lesz róla
and
izé
some of the other
stream,
pieces
nem
that
volt
they
még.
have for this set are coming along really well. So I'm excited to share those. Next up is we've been working out some options for VEC plate, and this is kind of a little preview of one of
Wow,
Oh, I
ez tök jól
love
néz
those
ki.
back
directions.
models and the
Azt
plate
adott, milyen jó
looks so
páncélok.
good.
Wow,
Yeah, I
ez
think
valami jól
Jan
néz ki.
has been working on this, and
Jantik!
Subscription received. Thank you for renewing your Class 2 access.
Köszi szépen az újra
I love
előfizetés.
these
25, te jó
masks,
ég.
the helmets.
Köszi.
we have the turntable for this. So people
Ez
can
nagyon
see
jól
how
néz ki ez a
that looks.
páncél.
And look, yeah, you
Tök
can
jó,
see
ilyen
the
aszték
model.
hatású,
Looks
nem?
great.
Mhm. So this is the
Vagy
female
maja,
model,
vagy aszték, vagy nem
and
tudom.
then I will also show
Jó, hát nyilván
you
az egész
it
fajra
in
épül,
the
de
male.
akkor is. Tök jól néz ki.
And remember, guys, as you guys are seeing these different armor sets, the armors that we
Leontik.
work through, of course, gradually increase in tier,
Wow,
right, based
nagyon
off
jól
of
néz
kind
ki.
of the level that we're provisioning the armors for. Now,
Ja,
is
a
this a
páncélok így
cosmetic set, or
fejlődnek.
is this,
This is
the
not.
armor?
Ez
No,
nem
so this
kozmet,
is
This
in-game
is one of the
achievable.
plate achievables. Yeah.
hanem ez
And I
ilyen fejlődő
believe that
páncél.
this armor, judging off of its silhouette, is
Hát ez
probably
megszerezhető
going to
játék.
be about a tier 2 armor from a tier 5 system,
Nézzük
right?
a havi
So this would
streamen.
probably be something as a VEC that you would have access to between levels like 15 to 25-ish, roughly.
Ez ilyen
Beyond knows you can
15-25 közötti
DM me,
nagyjából.
and I can
Szinten
update
van.
it, but yeah, very,
Ez
very
a, ez a
cool.
fázis
And then of
nagyjából.
course we've got the silk fur dune hunter that Jincy
Ó,
has made
itt
the
ez a
model
róka, ez a
for. It
múltkori
looks
csomagból
so
van.
cute. I mean, they
Oh
just
my
make like the
Fülű.
concept art
Look
look
at that
exactly
little
like the
thing.
character. It's wild to me how amazing they are.
Nem azt mondtam, hogy wow, de hát a róka nem azt mondja, jó, gratulál.
Who else is excited to ride this? Like,
Aha,
oh my gosh.
ilyen sivatagi
So
róka,
cute.
tök jó, tök cuki.
And with that, we're ready to head on over to our
És most jönnek a
Q&A.
kérdések. Ja nem. De?
I'll play the video in the background just so you have
De, kérdések.
something to watch whilst
Az a sivatagi róka, ami múltkor volt a
we
egyik
answer some
csomagban.
of y'all's questions from the forums.
Ja,
The
igen.
first one here is from Plastic Lemons. Don't eat those. Asking about mayor history.
Műanyag
once
citrom
tried to eat
kérdezi.
a plastic grape when I was a little kid. It did not go
Oh,
well.
Műanyag
I
citrom.
did the
Ja.
same thing. I didn't try to eat it though. I just
Azt mondja,
chewed on it.
ne
Yeah, well,
meg a
I
műanyag
couldn't eat
citromokat.
it, so I spit it out.
Iskolában
but
meg akart tenni
I
egy
was
műanyag
chewing on it.
grapefruitot,
I thought
és
it
nem
was
volt
a
jó.
real
I used to
grape.
love those little plastic grapes. I would just grab them and chew on them.
Oh,
Ő is rágta a
just
kis
like-
műanyag izéket.
okay.
Na jó van.
Interesting.
Ah,
You
I
learn
was a little
something new
kid.
every
Come on.
day.
See, somebody just said LOL same.
Were you really?
Ott valaki írt a cseten, hogy ő is. Na szép.
Rakers,
Ilyen
taker.
közös cucc volt, úgy látszik, hogy ilyen
Oh
kis
my
műanyag
gosh.
gyümölcsöket
Maybe they're
rákcsáltak.
eating or something. You're like
Rákcsáltatok ki még egy
enjoy.
gyümölcsöket?
Somebody else said
so-
that explains a lot.
Aki azt mondta, hogy hát az időnek magyaráz.
That's so good.
maybe
There's
it's,
too much sharing.
too much TMI. We have mayor history, which is will players have a way to see who past mayors of their
Lehetne majd
node
látni,
were,
hogy
like a little
kik voltak a korábbi
log.
polgármesterek
Yeah,
a nódban.
absolutely. Yeah. So
Aha,
something
and
that
other
we intend.
actions.
Well, not, maybe
Meg azt,
not
hogy
all
mit
their
csináltak.
actions, but
Hát azt nem biztos.
We can dream, guys.
it is something that we do intend to provide, obviously, historical references within the game of not just the mayors of nodes, but also, server first downs of certain bosses and this first like guild achievements and guild hall ownership. Like we want to, the achievement system should record things of note. So that people are able to etch their name or their guild in the history.
Tehát így be lehet fűzni majd a
in
neveteket,
the history of the
vagy a
server.
nevünket
And
a
mayorship
szerver
would be one of those
történetébe,
things.
vagy a
Very
guild
cool.
nevét. Az jó.
It would be cool if mayors could like leave a little note, and then all the new mayors get to see all the past notes.
Like Margaret was here, just like etched in the desk or something.
Yeah, or something. Some might be helpful, some might not be. It's like what's that game? Oh, anyways, moving on. Azure from Node Government wants to know: are there plans for official game-supported node positions other than the mayor, like a stable master or a procurement officer?
Lesznek-e
That's really
más
hard to
ilyen
say.
tisztségek a nódokban, mint például
Are
a
there other
Istálómesternek
node-based
hasonló?
positions, basically?
Like, yeah.
Yes, there are other node-based positions. Most of them relate to social organizational structures, like the
Főleg ilyen
temple and
közösségi
the social organization, a
szervezeteknél,
building
mint a
that the node might
templomoknál.
construct. Those are ladder systems of achievement that players
El
can
lehet,
work through
lehet
on a
haladni a
seasonal
ranglétrán.
basis to achieve the highest level of that for the particular node. And by doing so, they will then have titles bestowed upon them, which grant certain types of powers and benefits.
Ooh, nice.
És
Speaking
ott
of which, I'm
kaphatsz
going to forward
címeket,
to one of the
amikkel
questions
különböző
here from
előnyök
Kadek
járhatnak.
in regards to social organizations. Will progression in social organizations be permanent, or must it be maintained like PvP?
És amit elérsz az
There
ilyen
will
közösségi
be a portion of your social
szervezetnél, az
progression
megmarad
that does
folyamatosan, vagy
remain
mindig dolgozik el rajta?
static. But then when you move into a section of the ladder system that's more competitive,
Aha, az alapszintek azok,
that section of
azokkal
achievement will
megmaradnak,
be
de
ticking
hogyha
and
ilyen
seasonal. You'll have to
kompetitívebb
repeat efforts there. So you can
szintre
achieve a
érsz
certain
el,
status rank
akkor
that
azt
will
így
be
meg kell
permanent unless you
időnként
choose to leave the system.
frissíteni,
and
vagy
then there will
hát
be a
tenni kell
section
érte, hogy
that's
megmaradjon.
Cool. And then the next one here is about music.
Zene.
DougBug27 wants to know: cities in MMORPGs tend to have iconic music to match the aesthetic
Ugye a
of
városoknak
locations.
általában az ilyen
How do you expect
játékokban
Ashes of
jellegzetes
Creation
zenék
and
vannak.
Bear Mercury
Hogyan?
specifically to create music to fit nodes
Lesz ez itt,
when
ugye a
they
Bear
will
McCree
be
csinálja a
changing all
zenét.
the time? And
Yeah,
easy
that's a
answer:
good question.
predicates.
Well, it's a great question. So,
Jó kérdés.
Cat and Bear, obviously, we have a great
Nyilván ez egy
we have a
zseniális
great process
zeneszerző.
by which there are different levels of associated soundtracks based off of defining features in the game. So if we're talking about nodes, then we're talking about what's the cultural representation of that node.
Nyilván a zené a
Soundtracks
városnak
and
attól is
theming music will then be
függ majd, hogy
accompanied based
milyen
off of the culture
kulturális
that the node
behatása
expresses.
van.
If we're
Például,
talking about biomes and we're talking
ha
about
meg
POIs,
területekről
each of those
beszélünk,
will have
különböző
distinctive themes
zónákról,
that are associated with
azoknak is
them. So when
lesznek
you're out in the
különböző
wilderness or you're
témáik
out at a
nyilván
specific POI,
a
those will have
zenében.
soundtracks that will play as well. Each of those systems will encompass a layered effect that can reflect the stage of
És
certain
ezeknek
types of
lehetnek
events within an
ilyen
area.
szintjeik,
So, for
ami
example, the POI
képviseli
that is
azt az
Carfin,
állapotot, amiben
that will
akkor
have a
éppen van az
general
a terület vagy
theme for
város.
Carfin that will play as you
Például a
move into the
Calfinnál
area.
lesz egy
But
zene
depending
mondjuk,
on the
amikor bemész
effects
oda,
of a particular story arc,
és ha mondjuk
we
elindul
may
a
weave
story
in a
szál,
layer
akkor
of
belőhet egy másik
the
szintre
soundtrack
hozzá,
that reflects perhaps the voice
ami
of the raid boss when she's present,
mondjuk a
right? And if
raid
she's not,
bossnak a
that layer won't
hangját
be weaved in.
képviseli.
So
És nincs
those
ott,
soundtracks
amikor,
are constructed
és
in
ez mondjuk
such a
nincs
way,
ott, amikor nincs
obviously,
jelen a
where you
boss.
can get a lot of usage out of them, and there are components and themings of those that can weave together and layer together.
Hogy ezeket
And it's
össze tudják így
intended to be
fűzni.
something that not just is pleasant, but informative of the
Tehát
world
nem
as
csak
well.
kellemes lesz az a
In
elmélet,
different
hanem
states, right? Like
informatív
if you're
is.
in combat, Might have
Yes,
different
correct. Yes,
audio
there's
effects and
combats.
stuff.
Absolutely, there's combat states as
Hát
well.
nyilván ugye a harcban is változik majd.
Speaking of music, our next question is from Songrune, and it's about bards. What equipment slot does a bard's instrument take up?
Milyen slotba kerül a bárnak a
It
hangszere?
takes up the instrument slot.
A hangszer slotba.
Yes.
There you
So
go.
there will be an
Lesz egy
instrument
hangszer
slot
slot.
that can
Bárloknak.
be available as well, and the bard can equip something there. But that is obviously
Nem,
subject to change.
lesz
It
egy
is something that has been of
hangszer
heavy
slot és a
discussion
bárdal
within the
felvihet
combat
valamit,
team
vagy ilyesmi?
and the player character team,
Ez még nincs
and how
eldöntve
we want to
teljesen, úgyhogy
facilitate instrumentation.
lesz ez a
And it's
hangszer
something that
kérdés
we haven't yet
kezelve.
really delved into from development perspective. It's a little bit later on our prioritization list.
Nyilván nem ez
But
a
the intent is that there would
legfontosabb
be an
elem,
instrument slot.
de
All right.
még lesz hangszer
And
slot.
Killjoy from the forum wants to know about node taxes. Since taxes are set by the
Adók
mayor,
a
is there
nódban.
going to be a way to see the tax rates in different nodes from
Lehet-e
like a
látni a
world map or
különböző
something like that? So you
nódokban
decide like, where should
adószintet,
I take
például
my
a térképen?
strawberries today?
Yes,
És lehet.
absolutely. Yes, if you want to take your strawberry somewhere where
Például akarod
the
adni az
man isn't
epredet,
trying to
akkor
pinch
meg
every
tudod
dime out
nézni,
of
hogy
you, you can go into your world map and you
mennyi
can
az
hover
adóra.
state over certain nodes and you'll be presented with some basic informations of
Ilyen
which of course
alapinfók
taxation
lesznek.
will be a component. And then as you arrive in that node, you will also have additional UI interface that can present you with more granular data, such as active items on the warehouse and, or excuse,
És
active
hogyha
items on the
megérkezel a
auction house
nódhoz,
in that
akkor meg
location,
pontosabb, meg
and
bővebb
different
adatokat
types
is
of services
kapsz.
presented by the service buildings.
De ilyen alapadatokat meg lehet
Alright.
nézni előre.
And then we've got from Grand Serpent about active blocking. Has the
Aktív
team considered
blokkolás.
grapples or guard breaks to go along with the potential active blocking? So kind of like what the player is looking for is and wondering is if there will be ways to interrupt or cancel another
Ez
player's
olyan, hogy
active
például
blocking. So I'm
interruptolod,
blocking
vagy
you.
Yeah,
törlöd a másik
for
játékosnak
sure.
a
There is
támadását,
intended to
lesz.
be an
Nyilván.
interaction between different types of reactive and predictive skill sets, of which if a player is in
lesznek
a
ilyen
state
reakciós
such
skillek
as an
nyilván.
active block or an active tumble state, there will likely be some types of abilities that interact with reacting to those types of states and will either overcome, surpass, or cancel out those states, particularly as it relates to not just active blocking, but also potentially passive blocking as well. And that would be something probably related to like
Ugye
physical
az a
penetration
passzív
values as a
blokkoláshoz is
stat,
kapcsolódik.
or even CC breaks that could be relevant as well for those types of things. I think
Vagy a
that's on the
CC
radar for the
töréshez.
combat team, but it's something they haven't, or they actually are, I think, exploring.
They're
Actually, I don't know
exploring
where they're
active
exploring that.
blocking, right? Like
Yeah, I know they're
you're
doing
not
it
sure
right
if
now.
the final answer is that we will have active
Yeah,
blocking or
I
not.
just had a discussion with the combat team last week with
Éppen
Trad
múlt
and
héten
with
beszéltek
Brian
a
about how we're going
harc
to
csapattal,
implement the active blocking
hogy hogyan
into the
legyen az
alpha
aktív
toolkits.
blokkolás.
And that is something we are
Még
moving
nincs
forward
eldöntve.
with. Right now, that's going to be tested with a stamina-based system, which is universal
Majd a
energy, of course,
stamina alapján
across all these
tesztelik nem
different classes.
sokára.
And yeah, that'll be something we showcase in a future live stream, I think. Right now,
Okay.
it's very much in development.
So stay tuned, everybody, in regards to that. I know that that's a hot, like, I was like, we also probably should address active blocking as a whole because
Yes.
I know last time we talked about this, we were like, we're exploring it.
Yes.
And of course,
we
even
are
Alpha
not
2.
only exploring it now, we are actually actively developing for it, and we'll be testing with it, I believe, this sprint.
Most már nem csak
And things may
beszélnek az
change
aktív
from Alpha 2.
blokkolásról,
I mean,
hanem
that's why
Oh,
we
yeah.
want you guys to get your hands on
fejlesztik
it,
is, hogy
test
hogyan legyen,
stuff, give
vagy
us your
mi legyen vele.
feedback, and we'll be looking at data for that as well. Our next question here is from Go, asking about world map information. Will players be able to view their server's current vassal node networks on a world map through a general filter, a special node building or other means? Like, can they filter and find things? Like, if I'm looking for a
Lehet-e
specific
megkezelni
building, can I
filterekkel, vagy
figure out
szűrni a
which node has
térképen?
that? So I know where to go.
Yeah, yeah. The only real question there is kind of how the user collects that information, whether or not it's readily presented to the player just by being a player in the world, or if they have to travel to locations and update that locations. In the past, we talked about having a library that was capable of facilitating players exchanging information for map data like that. But we've moved a little bit more in a
Ugye
direction
lehetne,
of
vagy
just
mindig kellene
presenting that
keresni az
information
új
up front to the
infókat.
player because travel is such a meaningful portion of the game and we don't have fast travel. So I think that for Alpha 2, what's planned is that we're going to be showcasing kind of the intricate details of services offered at these node locations from just a UI
Az a terv, hogy
presentation
megmutatják majd,
standpoint
hogy
within the
milyen
map.
lehetőségek vannak.
And that's going to service players being able to kind of strategize about their
Az
travels.
alapján lehet tervezni, hogy hova utazzunk.
All right. And then Imoxator wants to know about gear bonuses. Will there be equipment gear bonuses for either single
Lesz-e
pieces
bónusz a
or entire gear
felszerelésre?
sets that
Szettek
offer
emelése?
unique abilities that could change how a class is played? And I think there's like a two-parter here from our end.
So I guess the fundamental of that question is, are there certain types of bonuses that could impact the way you play your class? I think the answer to that is yes.
Ish,
but I
because
think,
anybody can wear any armor, so.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
But at the fundamental
Ennek
is
olyan
like,
bónuszok rajta,
if
ami
I were
mondjuk a
to
klasszothoz segít.
get a set bonus that gave me, a 10% crit modifier on my waterfall stat, and now I'm like, critting often with my weapon attacks or with my abilities, like I might lean in more towards being a crit heavy focused class because of that particular bonus. Or as what I think what they're asking for is am I going to get a item that gives me like a fundamental new ability chain rather than augmenting my existing ability sets, right? And I don't think the intent is to provide something new from an ability perspective with majority of our set
De olyan
bonuses,
például
right?
képességet
The
kapsz
intent is
olyan
that we are augmenting existing waterfall stats with set bonuses. And there are
maximum
going to be
augmentálja.
active skills that do get associated with certain types of pieces of armor and or weapons. Those will be much on the higher end if they're an active ability that comes with those things. But I still don't think that the intended impact of those types of abilities is for us to radically redefine the way a particular
De
archetype
alapvetően
might
nem fogja radikálisan megváltoztatni
play.
a
Those
klasszodat.
determinations are made within
Egy
the
set
archetype
bónusz.
kit and within the secondary archetype kit as well.
All right. And then Lashing wants to know about experience.
Apologies,
stat.
real quick. One person asked, what is a waterfall stat? Oh, a waterfall stat is a derivative of an attribute, right? So if dexterity is your attribute stat and a waterfall from dexterity is critical rate, that would be considered a waterfall stat, the critical rate.
Yeah, to have terminology. I'm sorry. Usually I'm pretty good about catching that. The next question is about experience stat from Lashing. Does experience stat at max level interact with rested experience? So let's say I have experience stat at max level. Will I be able to use rested experience to gain the experience back?
Yes, yeah. Rested experience is a modifier that occurs when you first receive the experience. And then after that modifier happens, where that experience goes to buy down the debt is what happens. So if you have rested experience and you have experience debt and you go out to collect experience, you will be working that debt off faster because of the rested experience.
Rest XP az segít a
All right. Cool.
XP vesztésre dolgozásában, hogyha például corruption van, vagy meghaltál, mert ugye akkor gyorsabban visszakaphatod az elvesztett XP-t. Tehát ott is működik.
So if you would like to get yours chosen, we pick 10 at random, so make sure that you get your questions in and only ask one question. Follow the rules.
Kérdéseket fel lehet tenni a fórumon továbbra is.
Be selecting those for the next time. But of course, as we wrap up today's, I can't believe, I feel like we've done so many really long ones that this feels very
Ja, most olyan
weird
sok hosszú stream volt, hogy ez ilyen rövidnek tűnik, aztán majdnem másfél óra.
Breathing stream, and then next stream is going to be an exhale stream.
Ja, most ez volt a belélegző stream, a következő a kilélegző.
Yeah, I'm like, what is our next one? No, I'm just kidding. You'll just come and tune in. We do tease stuff on our social and things like that. So if you want to know in advance, sometimes we do share that information earlier or on our Discord and forums and things like that. So definitely follow us in all the places. We're Ashes of Creation. We're super easy to find. Our wonderful Peter, who is our social media manager, does an amazing job keeping that filled with content that you guys can all consume and interacting with you all. So please go check those things out. And of course, we're going to upload the full development update video tomorrow, pending the internet cooperates with us.
Feltöltik majd ugye a linkás videót, meg ugye az egész streamet a YouTube-ra.
You can find those over on our YouTube channel. And of course, on our next development update, if you want to be spotlighted for a comment, make sure that you leave a comment.
Illetve a YouTube-ra, hogyha kiemelt kommentelők akartok lenni.
Select you.
Mi ez? Reverse?
Little hint there.
Ez lesz a hint a
Sorry,
következő,
that's
ez a
good
hint,
hint.
folyók?
There's
Ez a
your
hint a
hint.
következő streamre?
And of course, please
Ah.
head on over to our forums,
Vizekről lesz szó, vagy
forums.ashesofcreation.com.
a
We have a
folyókról?
whole bunch of feedback requests over there, 2
Hogy
development
így írok?
updates that will be, or dev discussions that are going to be there for you to fill out,
Nem
as
tudom, hogy
well
ezt majd
as
figyeljük
the
hónap
events
közben, hogy
update as well.
mit
So,
jelentett ez így pontos.
event update forum thread. Give us your feedback.
The hint is that
És
it's in
várjuk
the
a...
Riverlands. No, I'm just kidding.
Azt mondja, a hint az, hogy
That's too
a
good.
Riverlandsen van, de hát nyilván ez nem.
I love it.
And
Hát
then we
figyelök,
also
hogy már
have
itt
the unseen
tippelgetnek.
order cosmetics that will be ending on
Chatten.
January 17th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Pacific. There's an FAQ with all the details of that. And of course, as we noted here, Alpha 2 is coming in 2024. We are excited to have you all join us next year, and it is going to be very fun. Our development team has been kicking butt and working hard, and we are continuing to do so. And it is very exciting. Of course, thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope that you will come watch our next development update. And thank you to
Köszönjük.
Clayton, Amy, and Scott, and all of the developers who have helped with the event stream, and just Ashes of Creation as a whole. And of course, Stephen, for your time. And we will see you all.
És viszont közelebb.
Bye, everyone.
Na,
Bye.
hát ez nem volt olyan nagy twist, de... Ez ami mondjuk random megidézhető az a szellemet. Nem, olyasmit mondott elvileg, hogy, és hát olvasott fel, vagy ilyesmi, hogy új skill, meg hasonló. Kifejezetten. Hogy megváltoztatja a class-t a set bónusz, de nem csak augmentálhat esetleg, hogyha éppen úgy van. De hát majd meglátjuk a teszten. No. Oda néz, maszkát. No, köszönöm szépen, hogy itt voltatok, és akkor a skines videó, a skines streamet, hát most ugye januárig van rá időnk, de azért nem fogok januárig várni vele, nyilván megcsináljuk majdnem valamikor. Pótoljuk. Kibeszéljük, hogy mi van ott az kérdéses résznél mögötte, hogy mit terveznek, hogy nem tudom pontosan, még nem néztem meg. Úgyhogy köszi szépen, hogy itt voltatok. Nem tudom, hogy elvileg holnapja lehet, hogy jövök. Meglátjuk, hogy mivel, vagy mi lesz, hogyha jövök. Úgyis kírom a Discordon, hogyha már tudom. Jából. Na, köszi szépen még egyszer, itt voltatok, és akkor további kellemes péntek estét nektek, sziasztok!